Hello, welcome to today's Logic Pro quick tip about buses and sends. I'm going to keep this quite simple, so I'm going to skip over a lot of the technical detail, but enough to get you started and playing around with buses and sends if this is the way that you want to work. It is also possible you might want to use this in combination with track stacks or groups that we've discussed previously. So how do you know whether you should be using a bus or a send, or indeed an insert? So what do these terms mean? Well, a bus is a group of similar tracks usually. So that would be all the tracks from a drum kit that was recorded, all the guitars. And the way you do it is you select a track, shift click the last one if they're in sequence, or you can command click to do them individually. And what we're going to do is change the output, because at the moment they are going to the stereo output bus, which we all know and love. But we can change this to anything we like, bus 10, and it creates a new channel for us. What I would then do is label that something sensible like guitars. This is where a lot of people get into trouble, is organizing their buses and sends and lose track of them. Personally, I tend to open a separate mixer window. So that's Command 2 opens up the mixer, or you can go up to Window, Open Mixer. And what I do is have that open on a different screen. I tend not to work in this compressed view. If you don't have a second screen, obviously don't do that, because it will just get in the way. So I've now got my guitars going into this bus. So I have bussed the guitars into this channel, which is then going to the stereo out. So it still sounds as you might expect. What I can now do though is on this bus I can put inserts. So this is what I mean by an insert. It is something that is in line. I could have inserted an audio effect on each of these guitars, but that's going to use 3 times more processing power than putting it on in one place. So if we put a bit of Chromaverb on, this is where you need to be careful between sends and buses actually. If you are doing it as an insert, so the entire sound is coming into this bus, going through it, and then coming out, you want to be careful about the wet and dry mix. You do not want in a bus to do this. What you are trying to do in a bus is have a balance of dry signal and wet, and you mix that to how you think it sounds best. And you'll see the difference in a second. So there we have an insert in this bus which is affecting the sound of all 3 guitars. It has saved us putting an insert on each of these and using up lots of memory and CPU cycles. So that's one benefit. The other benefit is if I choose to change this now, I only have to change it in one place. Otherwise, I'd have to go back and change it on all 3 guitars and get the same set, or at least delete them and then copy it over. It just becomes a bit of a nightmare. So that is one way to do it. What I'm going to do now is show you how to use a send on here. What I might want to do is let's put this reverb on a send instead. So the way you do that is click in the sends area. Again, unhelpfully it's called picking a bus, but this send is now going to bus 20. I'm going to call this reverb, and I'm going to put the Chromaverb on there instead. So now we have the guitar sound coming through bus 20, but nothing's happening to it. What I can do is now slowly turn up the amount of level that is sent into bus 20, but listen to the problem that occurs. what we are doing is actually doubling the signal, because if we look at the settings here, we have this dry mix included. If you are using this as a send, so it's like a separate little processing channel just to add reverb, what you want to do is make sure the plugin is set to 100% wet, so it's having maximum effect, but it's not returning the original signal. So if we play that again now, you can hear the reverb without the actual overall background. Well, I mean, it does increase in level because there's more volume, but you're not repeating the dry signal back on itself. If we just had the reverb on its own, you notice we can change the volume of the reverb by altering it here. You could also, if we had this set to unity at 0, you could change the amount of reverb there. Why would you do one over the other? Well, if this was not a reverb, if this was a compressor, and let me give you an example. I can actually physically show you. If I have this set, so you can see it's hitting just below -10 there on the compressor. So this is no longer a reverb, it is a compressor. Like I say, always keep sends and buses labeled. This compressor is working to compress the sound. If I turn down how much we send to the compressor's actually going to stop working. So you can see there, the compressor is doing no work at all to the sound. We need to put in basically that unity level so that the compressor can work on it. So in this example, you would not change the send level here. You would change the volume of the compressed signal with this fader. And what you're sort of doing there is what is called parallel compression. That's again a separate story. So I hope that makes it a little bit clearer. Buses for groups of instruments. So I did have these drum kits set up to do as well, but I don't think we need to. So I would group my kick, snare and hi-hat as a bus and treat them with inserts. If I wanted to use the same compression or reverb that I was using on the guitar, I might consider maybe I should be using a send on that bus as well. And finally, remember, if you're using something that is being affected by signal level, you can turn the effect down on the fader of the effect, not on the level that you are sending to it. I hope that makes sense. Again, thank you to the first 500 subscribers. You are in a unique club. Everyone else can smash the buttons, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.